Hey guys, Mama Snark here. I'm gonna do a quick little video. Sorry, you got dog booty in your face. Beans, move. I'm gonna do a quick little video on my experience flying Spirit Airlines for the first time alone with a toddler. Overall, honestly, my experience went really well. I was very surprised a little bit and very grateful for that, because you read about Spirit Airlines just being awful and the seats being horrible and the flight attendants being horrible and everything just being like a nightmare situation. Thankfully, that was not the case with us. It went very well. So I made kind of like a spur of the moment whim decision. Hubby went along with it for me to fly to Disney World for 2 nights with my daughter in December. She's 2, alone with her, just her and I, for 2 nights to do the Very Merriest After Hours event, the like Christmas party they had this year at Magic Kingdom. So it was her and I by ourselves. We stayed at the cheapest hotel in Disney World. Like, it wasn't that expensive for the hotel for us to stay on Disney World property, so we had full advantage of like the buses and stuff. And Magical Express was still running at that time, so I did not need a car seat, thankfully, for the flight, because we just took the Magical Express. So the flights, like the tickets that we bought, I think it was $30 each way, and I did have to buy a ticket for her because she's over 2. So for the price that we paid, I think it was like $120, a little bit more than that, grand total for a round trip flight to and from Disney World from New Orleans for my daughter and I to do just like a quick little spur of the moment trip, which, I mean, you can't beat that. Normally a plane ticket for one person round trip is like $250. So we decided to give it a try. I actually called and spoke to a Spirit Airline representative before I booked, and specifically asked them if I did not pick my seat ahead of time, would my toddler and I be separated, because I did not want to run the risk of them putting her like clear across the plane from my seat. I mean, obviously that's not okay. So if he would have been like, yeah, no, we'll totally separate you, I would have went ahead and paid the fee to like book our seats. Or worst case scenario, I would have just put her in my lap for the whole flight, which probably would have been pretty miserable because she's not a small girl. She's in the 98th, I think, percentile for height and weight. So she's not little. So he assured me that since she was a minor, she would be seated next to me, that what I needed to do after I checked in, like, to the airport, go to the Spirit ticket counter, like, at the gate, or not the Spirit ticket counter, I guess the Spirit, like, gate counter at the gate for the airport, and talk to one of their attendants there. So I made sure that I got to the airport like 3 hours early, I think, in New Orleans. I went straight to the gate. They actually didn't have anyone there yet because I was so early, but they called someone there for me. And I explained the situation. I said, hey, I just need to make sure that my daughter and I are seated next to each other because she's 2. So she asked for my confirmation. I had like the app on my phone. She scanned it, and she was like, yeah, I'll take care of it, and went ahead and moved our seats right next to each other. So that was super easy. It was a full flight on the way to Orlando as well. So what happened whenever I checked in initially is they booked our seats like here and here, and they had someone else in that middle seat. So it looks like if you're not picking your seat, they do kind of intentionally, even if you're close together, like put you at least a middle seat apart from each other, which in that case, I'm sure that most people would be willing to just scooch one way or the other so you can sit next to your party, but people, it's not a guarantee. It kind of depends on who you get. But so it's like we were still in the same row, we were just like a seat apart from each other. So she went ahead and just put us like right next to each other. Super easy. Also, a tip if you're flying alone with a kid, or even if you're just flying with a kid in general, when you get to your gate, go ahead and go to the counter and have them put a like gate check tag on your stroller, because she obviously saw that I had her in a stroller and was like, oh, hey, let me go ahead and get you a gate check tag, so whenever you're boarding the airplane, you don't have to stop and worry about it. Like, that's one less thing that you're like holding everyone mad behind you in a line. You're not holding them up. So she went ahead and gate checked my the stroller for me and got everything taken care of. So also, when we went to get on the plane, they did have us, like I said, another person that was supposed to be in that middle seat that they just like moved over. So I think they moved her, the other passenger, to like the aisle seat, and Weezer and I were supposed to be like window seat in the middle seat. So whenever I got there, she was already seated in the aisle seat, and I asked her, I said, hey, you know, this is us right here. And I said, it's up to you. I'm fine if you want to take the window seat, and she and I can take the aisle in the middle, or if you want the aisle, you know, we'll take our assigned seat, which was the window in the middle. And she was like, are you sure you don't mind if I have the window? And I was like, no, that's fine, because she's probably going to have to potty at some point anyway. That way we don't have to disturb you getting out to take her to the restroom. So that was, I mean, you know, we had a pretty great flight on the way there. On the way back, the flight was delayed by about like 2 hours, which was very annoying. I was tired. I had a toddler with me. She was like, keeping her entertained in the airport was a challenge for sure. But I've heard a lot about Orlando to New Orleans Spirit flights being delayed a lot, which again, I paid $60 for both of us for those tickets, so I can't really complain too much. We did end up getting back, like he booked it, I think, and we got back in pretty, you know, decent timing. But same thing, whenever I got to the gate, I just went to the counter, talked to the representative, said, hey, you know, our seats are aisle and window, she's 2, I just wanted to see if y'all can get us seated together so that I'm with her. And she was like, oh, it's not even a full flight, like there's not even anyone assigned to that middle seat, so y'all just have the whole row to yourself, which, phenomenal, that was great. Overall experience, things that I wanted to kind of touch base on that I've, you know, read a lot, seen a lot of videos about: bags. So yes, Spirit will charge you for a normal carry-on, like wheeled carry-on size bag. You've got to, you know, have the option to pay for that ahead of time, or pay, I think, more for it like whenever you check in. Or you can have a personal sized item per paid ticket. So that's what I did, because it was, like I said, just my toddler and I. We went for 2 nights, so we didn't have a lot. It was just enough clothes to get through and toiletries to get through those 2 nights. So I did I think it's called the Osprey Transporter book bag, and I'll link that in the description box below. That is my new favorite, like, travel backpack. It met the personal size requirements, which, if you look at the specs, it's actually a lot larger than you would think it is, because that backpack was like about that big and pretty thick. It was like maybe an inch or 2, I can't remember which direction, like over one of the directions, but it's also a squishy bag. It's not like a hard case, so if I needed to like put it in that personal sizer thing at the airport, I could have like squished it in there. Nobody ever like questioned my baggage or asked me about it. They didn't ask to measure anything. Either they're just super accustomed to like kind of eyeballing sizes, or they just didn't care. I can't say for certain which one it was, so I'm not saying like bring a big bag and just think that you're going to get through. The bag I had did meet those size requirements if I like had to shove it in there. And then I didn't want to be toting around just like a ton of baggage, so for her personal item, I just had a small like Vera Bradley crossbody bag, and that was the bag that I was going to be using to take like to the parks with me, or at the resort when we were just kind of out and about, that had like a change of clothes and a pull up in case she needed it, and like her bib and things like that. So that was my 2 personal items. Again, it went really well. Nobody questioned me about any of the baggage or anything like that. And I did, whenever I got to the plane, I put my like backpack up in the overhead bins. No one ever said anything about it. Like I said, it was a full flight on the way to Orlando. So I just had that crossbody bag like underneath my seat, and that had all of her entertainment items for the plane, like her Imagineeks, her little, I think it's called a play pack from Target Dollar Spot that has the little like coloring book and the crayons in it. Ton of snacks. I had like M&Ms and Cheez-Its and gummies for her ears whenever we were taking off suckers if I needed it. Like, I had that thing stuffed with snacks to keep her entertained. So yeah, that was, I mean, a good experience overall with the baggage. It wasn't an issue. Last thing I wanted to touch base with was the size of the seats. Honestly, for us, it was perfectly comfortable. I mean, I'm not a large person. I'm a size large, but I'm not like too fluffy. So like, I mean, it was fine. I had, you know, plenty of room on the sides. I had plenty of leg room. I will note that I am only 5'5", so I'm like average height for a woman. and I had ample leg space. I was able to put the crossbody bag underneath my seat. Still had plenty of space for like my feet and my legs to move around. My 2-year-old obviously didn't need a ton of space because she's 2, so she's not, you know, huge. If you are super fluffy, or if you're like fluffier than I am, you might be a little bit uncomfortable in your seat. Like, I mean, they're not huge, but I mean, it wasn't an issue for me. My husband is 6'3". If he would have been on the flight, he probably would have been a little bit cramped, like leg space wise. But I mean, that's him on any flight if we're flying coach. So it's, I'm gonna say it's probably comparable to like American Airlines that we flew in October. It wasn't bad seat wise. They do give you the option, either when you're booking or like right before your flight, they'll give you like the upgrade option. I think it was like $70 or something. So obviously I didn't do it because it was just her and I, to get the larger seats. So they do at the front of the plane have like the more spacious seats with a lot more leg room that you can choose to upgrade to that option if you need to. So if you think that you might be squished in the smaller seats, I would recommend upgrading just so you're not like uncomfortable your whole flight. But I mean, again, our flight was maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It wasn't a long flight, so it was perfectly comfortable. Flight attendants were great. Both flights, they were very attentive and very nice and well-mannered and not like rude or snarky or anything like that at all. So overall, we had a really good experience flying Spirit Airlines. And if I am going to be flying again, like by myself or by myself with a child, I wouldn't hesitate, especially if I'm doing just like a quick little weekend getaway where I don't really need like luggage, just, you know, enough clothes to get me through a couple of nights, then I absolutely would fly Spirit Airlines again. Now, I'm not saying that my experience is going to be your experience, because it's just going to depend on probably, you know, the gate agents and the flight attendants and things like that. But overall, I had a really good trip and a really good experience flying with Spirit Airlines. So I would definitely fly with them again. So not all of the horror stories are going to apply to everyone. I'm sure a lot of bad things do happen to people, and people do get separated from their kids, like I said, depending on the gate agent and the flight attendant. But overall, I had a really good experience. So I hope this video was helpful. Please make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like and subscribe to my channel, follow along. I'll have many more videos on basically just toddler adventures and traveling with toddlers and things like that. So thank you guys for watching.